For years, the secrets of Jeffrey Epstein have been buried deep, but today, we're digging into the thousands of court documents that have finally been made public, and they reveal a really disturbing story of power, abuse, and the people who knew.
We're going to start with these chilling words from Maria Farmer, one of Jeffrey Epstein's first known victims. Because in this whole complex web of power and deceit, it's the voices of the survivors that truly matter most.
Well, the answer is buried in thousands of pages of newly unsealed court documents, and they're finally pulling back the curtain on the vast network of powerful people connected to him.
Okay, first things first, it's really crucial to understand what these files actually are. They are not new criminal charges. They're sworn statements from a 2015 defamation lawsuit. That's a civil case. It's about reputation that victim Virginia Giuffre filed against Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, for basically calling her a liar.
The unsealing of these files has now publicly identified more than 150 individuals in Epstein's orbit. And this list, it includes world leaders, politicians, celebrities, and academics. It paints a staggering picture of just how far his influence really reached.
But here's a really crucial distinction you need to get. The vast majority of people named aren't actually accused of wrongdoing. They're listed as potential witnesses. Now this raises a different, but an equally disturbing question. What did they see, and why didn't they speak up?
And for the very first time, sworn testimony gives real weight to a suspicion that's been around for a long time, that Epstein's whole operation wasn't just about abuse. It was about blackmail, a way to gain leverage over some of the most powerful people on the entire planet.
So this raises a huge question, right? How did one man build an international sex trafficking ring that operated in plain sight for decades?
Well, the operation was global. Epstein owned this whole network of lavish properties in key locations all around the world. And what that meant was, wherever he went, he required a constant supply of young women to be available for him and his powerful guests.
This global network, it was fed by what's been described as a well-oiled machine, a truly vile pyramid scheme that preyed on vulnerability, turning victims into recruiters to find even younger girls.
Victims like Courtney Wild, who was recruited at just 14 years old from a trailer park for a $200 massage. They describe how they were manipulated. They were made to feel like Epstein was some kind of savior, offering them a way out of poverty, when in reality, he was just luring them into a trap they couldn't escape.
But how did this go on for so long? I mean, maybe the most enraging part of this whole story is how many times Epstein was nearly exposed, only to be protected by his wealth, his powerful connections, and the repeated failure of the very systems designed to stop him.
Just look at this timeline. It shows a pattern of injustice that stretched over decades. As early as 1996, a victim reported him to the FBI and was ignored. In 2002, a major magazine story exposing him was completely gutted after Epstein allegedly threatened the journalist. Then, in 2008, he got that secret, unbelievably lenient plea deal that granted him and his co-conspirators immunity. At every single turn, victims were dismissed, journalists were silenced, and the legal system failed them.
So the unsealing of these files has put a renewed and really intense spotlight on the powerful men who orbited Epstein, forcing them to once again answer for their association with a convicted predator.
And maybe no one is under more scrutiny than Prince Andrew. In that now infamous BBC interview, he tried to discredit this photo of him with a 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre, claiming he had no memory of it and suggesting it might even be fake.
But Giuffre has always maintained the photograph is real, and her claim is backed by the fact that the photo was verified as an original and given to the FBI, which has never once contested its authenticity.
And these new files, they reveal something absolutely crucial: a second accuser. Johanna Schoberg testified under oath that Prince Andrew groped her. This is so significant because it's a separate allegation that points to a pattern of behavior. The prince has since settled a multi-million-dollar civil suit with Giuffre, but he continues to publicly deny everything.
So what does all of this mean today? With Epstein dead and his main accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, behind bars, is this story just over?
Well, Epstein, of course, escaped justice through suicide back in 2019, but Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted on 5 counts of sex trafficking and is now serving a 20-year prison sentence, although she is appealing the conviction and maintains her innocence.
For the many victims, and for those of us who have followed this case for years, the release of these documents isn't a conclusion. It is simply the next necessary step in a long and painful search for the full truth.
The deafening silence from so many of the powerful people named in these files, many of whom have offered no explanation for their association with Epstein, it leaves one major question just hanging in the air. What and who remains hidden from public view? And that brings us to this chilling final thought from a journalist who has covered this case for years. The belief that what has been exposed, as horrific as it is, may only be the tip of the iceberg.
The full scale of this network of abuse and complicity may be far, far greater than we can even imagine.